Hello and welcome to my presentation on the Costa Rican experience. This past summer, I joined a study abroad program at CU Denver titled Adaptive Management and Sustainable Development. This presentation is going to lead you through my highlights and reflections that I had in the 2 weeks that I studied in Costa Rica. So first, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am a graduate student at CU Denver. I just completed my first year in the Master's of Science in Environmental Science program, and I'm hoping to emphasize in water quality. I decided to go on this study abroad program because I think it's important to incorporate sustainability throughout my life, and I wanted to understand how to incorporate that through my career and living environment. So I thought this would be an excellent course to take. The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. I pulled this quote in for my presentation because I thought it was really applicable to the experience that I wanted out of this travel study. And we learned a lot in the classroom before we left about sustainability and adaptive management and the difficulties in having those two collaborate with each other, and the difficulties in having people of different interests and jobs and companies collaborate with those ideas as well. And it's important for our future that we are sustainable and we know how to adapt, and that we are constantly measuring how well we can do those things. So in learning all these concepts of sustainability, it took on a new perspective for me when I did travel, and I was able to see the world a little differently, having learned those concepts before. Not only that, but whenever I travel, I like to have a different perspective, and opening my eyes to new concepts and having a group to share them with was very beneficial. Our first stop in Costa Rica was at the La Paz Waterfall Gardens, and I think I can speak for the whole group that we had a truly amazing experience being immersed in Costa Rican culture and wildlife right from the get-go. The waterfall gardens were a really amazing place, full of wildlife. It was actually a sanctuary for animals that were pets to people and they could no longer support them. So it was a really beautiful, well-maintained place. What I really liked about it was that they didn't have a lot of signs talking about the animals or the wildlife. They actually had guides there that you could ask questions to, and they would actually take you in the exhibits. As you can see, I got to hold a toucan, which was awesome. And there was some really beautiful waterfalls and huge trails, giant, beautiful macaws, and the tree frogs were definitely my favorite exhibit. After La Paz, we then traveled to La Selva Biological Station, which is located in a humid tropical forest on the Caribbean side of Costa Rica. There we stayed in dorms, and it was really cool to kind of feel like we were camping in the jungle. La Selva is a research station that lots of researchers go to study these tropical forests because they do have preserved old growth forests. And we were also able to go and visit their GIS lab there and talk with the coordinator there about his work, which was really cool. We were able to see researchers practice with a drone, go on nature hikes, learn how to look for spiders at night with our flashlights, which was a little scary, but it was also fun. And then there was tons of leafcutter ants everywhere, which were such an amazing little creature to follow around the research station. After a few days of hiking and listening to lectures, we got a little bit of a break and got to go rafting. I was the brave one that chose to be with all the guys on the crazy raft, which ended up being fun but a little scary at the time. We had a great time, and the raft guides were actually really, really awesome. And as we had some downtime during the rapids, they were telling us all about the landscaping and the trees, and they really showed pride in their country. After leaving the vibrant energy that we found at La Selva, we weren't sure if anything else on the trip would be as awesome, but sure enough, we ended up at Don Juan Educational and Organic Farm, and the owner, Don Carlos, took us for a tour of his farm and explained to us his concepts of combining organic farming and education together. His whole life he was a teacher, and his family were farmers, and he wanted to revolutionize this idea of combining both of his passions so that he could contribute to future generations. And his farm was pretty amazing. We did all sorts of things, from cutting down a yucca tree and replanting it, to meeting his cows, taking a tour, learning how and why pi is 3.14, checking out all of his medicinal herbs and how some plants can be turned into makeup or be used for curing certain ailments. And then also, what I thought was really cool was that he showed us how he uses the methane produced from his cows to use to capture and then use again in their kitchen. So it's a totally closed loop process, which is really awesome and forward thinking. Also, he didn't stop there. He also built some sustainable developments in the back that are kind of like a type of lodge or housing that he can have people come and stay at, and they're solar powered and earthquake resistant. After leaving the farm, we arrived in La Fortuna, which was a beautiful little town with a gorgeous backdrop of Arenal volcano, which you can see in probably most of the photos here. Although not active for 7 years, I believe, the volcano still has an ominous presence everywhere you go, both beautiful and scary at the same time. La Fortuna was a booming little town, lots of ecotourism present. We went ziplining, hiking through and around the volcano. We went to hot springs. We visited a local church there and really immersed ourselves in the Costa Rican culture. It was a very vibrant culture, very friendly. Everyone paused and helped us wherever we went. They explained certain features that we saw everywhere we went. So very, very nice community. And as we hiked, we saw a pit viper, as our guide pointed out to us. As you can see a little to the left. And that was a little unnerving, as it was just right off the side of the trail. But we made it through, no bites, and got to cross over some footbridges, only half the group at a time, so as not to snap the cables, which was also quite an adventure, but beautiful and fun. Also, Lake Arenal, as you can see in the top middle, a little to the left, is the largest lake in Costa Rica that used to supply most of the electricity through hydropower, and that picture is as we drove across the lake and continued our journey. About halfway through our journey, it was time for a break, so we headed to Playa de Brazalito, where the theme for me seemed to be conservation. We were at this beautiful beach, and there were developments happening all around this small fishing village, and its impact was very present. What's interesting and awesome is that this community voted together to prevent development so as to protect their culture and their land, as we were able to see how some of the land was destroyed and fragmented from these larger developments. So the theme that did play into me was conservation, and as you can see in the photos, there was lots of conservation on not littering on the beach. There was a sign about trash and how long it was present in the earth before it decomposed. And then also I came across some little schoolgirls that were cleaning up the beach, which I thought was pretty cool. There was lots of monkeys. I think I woke up at 3:30 to the roosters, and then the birds went at 4, and then 4:30 the howler monkeys made sure that we weren't sleeping in. This was a beautiful place. We were able to walk up and down the coast and check out the different ecosystems, the coastal lagoon, and see all the sand crabs that were in the tidal waves. We were sad to leave the beach, but we knew we had more adventure ahead, and so we headed away from the Pacific coast and crossed over the Nicoya Peninsula to Monte Alto Eco Lodge, which was a truly inspirational place. The town of Awancha, where this Eco Lodge is located, actually is a fairly poor community. However, they pitched in and bought, or still are trying to buy, parts of land that are part of the watershed in order to protect the area and mitigate the effects of deforestation and biofragmentation on the land. So while we were there, we got to have more of a rustic type of setting, and we heard about the scary spiders. We saw the scary spiders. There was an infestation of termites, and we braved it all and had a wonderful experience and enjoyed sleeping under the nets the last night to protect us from all the mosquitoes. The next day we went exploring at a nearby national park called Barra Onda, which is a tropical dry forest. It was a really awesome, difficult hike full of mosquitoes, and it was a hot day and a steep incline, but we made it to the top, and then we got to go in these really cool caves or caverns with a bunch of limestone deposits, and got to see how stalagmites and stalactites formed, and it was really beautiful. The tree in the photo actually I thought was pretty cool. It had termites go through it, and it left a really interesting pattern. So that was really fun. Finally, our trip was coming to an end, and we headed back to San Jose, the capital of Costa Rica. We were a little sad to leave the rainforest, but we did have a good time in the city and visited some museums and were able to see more about the past culture of Costa Rica, experienced their coffee culture, their hospitality, as you can see the little animals on the beds, which we had in every hotel we stayed at. We enjoyed the food, the company, the great conversations, and I think Costa Rica really left a sweet spot on each of us, and how proud the culture is of their own culture, and how proud they were to share it with us. As Aristotle once said, adventure is worthwhile, and it was. Costa Rica was a truly amazing, worthwhile experience. I highly recommend this course to anybody that is thinking of taking it or knows anyone that they want to tell to take it. It was truly an amazing experience. I learned so much about myself, about Costa Ricans, about sustainability, and the importance of adaptive management. It truly is important that we're able to communicate and incorporate change throughout our lives as change is necessary, and to be sustainable for future generations and in preserving our land and our cultures. Thank you for joining me in this presentation, and happy travels.